Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I get. Oh, is the countdown starting? Oh, three. Oh, it's already begun. Two, one. Wait. Oh, not the countdown for New Year's. You mean my top 10 movies? That countdown for 2021. Oh, I knew that. Yeah, I definitely knew that. Yeah. I'm gonna get out of it. I'm changing out of this. Yeah. What's going on, everyone, and happy new year. If you haven't heard it already, I'm grateful for you and your support with the channel in 2021, but now that we've stepped into the new year 2022, it's gonna be new content, but the same old me with this face that hopefully will be acne free or more acne free in the new year. But all jokes aside, guys, today I'm so excited to finally talk about my top 10 movies of 2021. And what's great is that 2021 was a historic year in terms of new films that I've watched. I watched 110 movies compared to 2020, where I only watched 87. And I say only, and that's still a large number, but I can't wait to get even closer to 200 and beyond probably for this new year. There are going to be so many amazing titles to talk about, and it's going to happen right here on the channel. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and hit the thumbs up button. And guys, the most important thing is that you let me know what you think of my list and what your top 10 list is, and you can include some honorable mentions too. I'm going to read every single one of your choices, and I'm going to talk about them with you because I'm so excited to see which film was your number one for 2021. So here's what's gonna happen, you guys. Today I'm gonna break down my honorable mentions. I'll give you 5 of those films, and then we're gonna dive right into my top 10. And for every movie that I did review in this list, I'll try to include some of the big ones up top, but you'll find every single link down below in the description. So if you want to hear my take and exactly why I love that movie, go right ahead. There might be some mild spoilers ahead, I'm not so sure, but I go on a little tangent sometimes with these titles, so if you hear some, viewer beware. Okay guys, so let's get into my honorable mentions. And right at the top is The Harder They Fall, directed by James Samuel, starring Jonathan Majors, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, and Idris Elba, and so many more, guys. This ensemble cast was incredible, and this film itself was just one of the biggest surprises of the year, because I was getting a little fatigued when it came to westerns, and that genre doesn't really speak to me as much, but shot like this with this cast and the camaraderie among the cast and all of the writing and the amazing direction and that soundtrack, guys, this was a winner for me. It also had a really compelling story up until the very end, which I did not see coming, but man, did Jonathan Majors crush it. Did Regina King do a great job, and even Zazie Beetz just had a remarkable performance and probably was the most grounded performance of the movie. And that kind of speaks to the quality already of this year, if The Harder They Fall was just an honorable mention for me. So let's move right along to my next honorable mention, which is In the Heights, directed by John M. Chu, starring Anthony Ramos, Melissa Barrera, Leslie Grace, and Corey Hawkins. And guys, I'll be completely honest, I'm very new to the Broadway genre. God bless my girlfriend for getting me into this genre, but man, it is so fun, and I'm seeing a lot of these plays for the first time in their movie adaptation form, and In the Heights is that kind of play for me, where I didn't listen really to the original cast recording all the way through before the film, but once I saw the movie, I had to keep going back, and man, the songs are just incredible, and I love the performances here. It's a very vibrant movie. Now, there is a little bit of controversy surrounding it, of course. I saw that, and yes, it is something to talk about in terms of the Afro-Latino and Afro-Latinx representation on screen. So that happened, and I will say that this movie still delivered for me. It was so captivating. Even though it did run a little long, I still think that In the Heights for me worked, and I love the music. I'm still kind of singing some of those songs to this day. Yeah, no Siri, don't play that song. So let's dive right into my next honorable mention, which is Malcolm and Marie, directed by Sam Levinson, of course, of Euphoria fame, and starring Zendaya and John David Washington. Now, this movie, it was incredibly well acted, and I love the way it was shot too. The cinematography, all in black and white, was incredible. I love the score, subtle, it's there, but it's not too overly present, and I think that Zendaya just showcases exactly why she is a top tier actor in Hollywood today. And I love John David Washington as well. He's a rising star, especially with his work in Tenet, which we saw recently, and I think that both of them together delivered a really compelling duo. Now, I will tell you that the dialogue was a little self-serving sometimes, and maybe just maybe it was a little preachy at moments, but I did still think it was natural enough for me. And man, there are some moments here where you think things are going great, and then boom, tension just hits and it's a mess all over again. So Malcolm and Marie, it worked for me. A lot of people are kind of forgetting about this film, which is weird, but the real ones are, of course, remembering how excellent Malcolm and Marie was. Alrighty guys, so we got two more honorable mentions. Let's move on to A Quiet Place Part 2, directed by John Krasinski, starring Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, Cillian Murphy, and Noah Jupe. Now, here's a fun fact, I'll let you in. I got a chance to vote for the very first time in the Southeastern Film Critics Association group, and guess what? I went ahead and voted for Millicent Simmons as a supporting actress, or one of the best supporting actresses of the year. She is excellent in this film, and if anything, I like Part 2 better than Part 1, which is kind of weird because I won't lie to you guys, Part 1 is so unique and excellent, and I didn't think that they would be able to pull it off with the sequel. And to me, I think that there was more emotion here. This was way more grounded, and honestly, the scares worked a lot more. And then there's that incredible sequence in the first 15 to 20 minutes where Emily Blunt is reversing, and then you see the bus coming through, and I'm like, man, this is some great filmmaking. So John Krasinski really flexed his director's muscle in this one, and it really proved to be, to me, a better movie than its predecessor, which is kind of rare nowadays. And the last honorable mention, and this was a tough one guys, Spencer, directed by Pablo Larraín, starring Kristen Stewart. This was sitting at my number 10 for the longest time until I really took a little sabbatical and sat down with my list and thought, okay, well, which one is gonna be at my 10th spot, which is gonna be at my 11th spot? It was so tough, but I went with my heart. And yes, Spencer falls right outside of my top 10, but the movie is excellent. Kristen Stewart, for me, is probably the front runner to win the Best Actress Award at this year's Academy Awards, or next year's technically, and I am just so excited to see how that race unfolds. But Kristen Stewart delivers an amazing performance as Princess Diana, and to me, I actually am really surprised that it worked at home, because I thought with all the distractions and stuff, sunlight and whatnot, I wasn't going to be fully engaged. But let me tell you guys, I don't remember blinking once during Spencer. It's just a fantastic movie. Pablo Larraín really just showcases why he is such a visionary when it comes to directing, and his style is so unique, and I love how they get into the psyche of this character of Princess Diana. Now, the events are not, of course, non-fiction. It's a lot of fictional stuff when it comes to Princess Diana's past, but the essence of her character and who she is there in this film, and Kristen Stewart perfectly encapsulates all of that. She's incredible, and my gosh, if you don't know that she's a great actress by now, well, now you know. Alrighty, you guys, are you ready? My top 10 movies of the year. Can I get a drum roll? No, I can't? Okay, fine. Alrighty, y'all. So, we're gonna start with my number 10 film of 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, starring Simu Liu, Awkwafina, Tony Leung, and Menger Zhang. Now here's a film that I was really excited for just based on the idea alone. I'm not familiar with Shang-Chi at all in the comics, so this was my first jump into this world, and let me tell y'all, I was blown away. This is some of the best action in the MCU. That bus scene alone is incredible. But Tony Leung, for me, is one of those top tier villains as well in this cinematic universe, and his performance was so nuanced. It was excellent, and I love exactly how Simu Liu handled the role of Shang-Chi. A lot of people said he kind of disappeared in that second half, and yes, he got a little less love, but for me, his fingerprints were all over this movie. Of course, I loved him in Kim's Convenience, so here he just continues that consistency in terms of acting, and I actually enjoyed Awkwafina's performance for the most part. Even though I didn't find it to be one of the strongest performances of the movie, I still think she was pretty darn good alongside Simu Liu. And then you got Menger Zhang, who I think this is one of her first performances on screen, and Lord, there's just a lot to love about Shang-Chi, and it's one of those films that I went back, revisited, and yeah, it's just as good on second watch. And y'all can't tell me you weren't jamming along to that Anderson .Paak song in the end credits. Come on, y'all. Okay, maybe I did play that song about like 20 times after it came out on Apple Music. Sue me. Alrighty, you guys, so let's get into my number 9 film of the year, and that is King Richard, directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green, starring Will Smith, Anjanou Ellis, Sania Sidney, and Demi Singleton. So I had the chance to watch this movie with one of my friends who is an expert on the Williams sisters and their family, and he loved it, and so did I. Even though I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to Venus and Serena Williams and their family and their childhood and upbringing, I feel like this film, what Ronaldo Marcus Green was able to bring to this movie, and just the way he was able to tell the story from start to finish, it hit every emotional beat for me. I'm a sucker for sports biopics anyway, and this for me was unique enough because it took a sport I'm unfamiliar with and it still allowed it to resonate and connect with me, and I fell in love with King Richard. And yes, guys, if you have to ask me, Will Smith is the one who should get that Best Actor award. There are multiple scenes where I almost broke down and cried. My favorite scene in this movie is Anjanou Ellis and Will Smith in the kitchen together, and it's so cool to know that scene, it took a little while to actually capture it, and it wasn't necessarily on paper as it should have gone, but they went off the cuff and they just delivered, and I thought it was just excellent. So yes, King Richard, I mean, gosh, if you haven't even seen it already, I mean, what are you doing with your life? Alright guys, 2 movies down, 8 more to go, so let's get into my number 8. That is The Mitchells vs. the Machines, directed by Michael Rianda and Jeff Rowe, starring Abby Jacobson, Danny McBride, and Maya Rudolph. This is one of the biggest surprises of the year for me because I know this film changed its name. It was kind of going through some weird trouble in terms of distributing, then the pandemic hit and they're like, you know what, let's just give it to Netflix. So they did that and it worked out perfectly. This movie made me smile, it made me laugh, it even got me in my feelings at times. Mitchells vs. the Machines for me is one of those perfect animated movies in terms of the way it can blend together all these elements, be accessible for kids but also for adults. Those are just the sweetest animation kind of films because they just work for me, but I know that they can work for a kid, so I can recommend this to about anyone. And The Mitchells vs. the Machines is very well written also. The script is snappy, and I thought the animation style looked great, and I had a blast with that third act. So yes, The Mitchells vs. the Machines is excellent, and no, I'm not just saying that because I got Moose on set. Yeah, buddy, you had a great film. Alrighty guys, so let's get into my number 7, and yes, it's another MCU title, Eternals, directed by Chloe Zhao, starring Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Salma Hayek, and Angelina Jolie, among many others. Another ensemble movie that just really worked for me, but man, this was a film that I was already very excited for because of Chloe Zhao, but when I saw the trailers, the first 2 at least, the style, the cinematography, the score, and the acting was all very present in those trailers, and it really did transition and really bleed over into that final product. Eternals for me is one of the best MCU movies to date. I know there's a lot of discourse around this film, but I'm here to tell you that this movie is well worth your time. It is long, yes, there's a lot of narrative to this. There's a huge exposition dump in the second act. Right in the middle, there's a lot of backstory that's being given by Arishem, but it just works for me. I love the lore, the world forge, all of the powers, and yes, Makari just stole my heart a little bit. She was great in this movie. She stole this scene. Like, there were so many scenes where she just stole everyone's attention, and it's in the best way possible. There are just so many bits and pieces of this movie to love, and I can't wait till it comes out on Disney Plus because I'm streaming this bad boy once, twice, or 3 times more. It is well worth a rewatch. It works, it holds up, it is just a beautiful film. Chloe Zhao deserves to be proud for this movie, and what she delivered here, it changes the game for the MCU because we've had so many grounded movies literally on Earth, but now we have a movie that takes us to the cosmos. It really widens our view, and it proved to be one of the strongest, not only superhero movies of the year, but one of the strongest movies of 2021. Alrighty guys, so we're almost in my top 5, but before we get there, let's talk about my number 6 film, Candyman, directed by Nia DaCosta, starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Tiana Paris, and Coleman Domingo. Wait, how many times were we supposed to say Candyman? Can someone keep a timer in the comments? Because I think it's 3 times, right? If I say his name 2 more times, y'all pray for your boy. But in all seriousness, Nia DaCosta is one of my favorite up-and-coming directors. The way she was able to work with Jordan Peele on this movie is just excellent. It's great stuff, and I honestly thought it was one of the best horror movies, if not the best horror movie of the year. Scratch that, it is the best horror movie of 2021. And I love the tight runtime. A lot of people didn't like that third act, but for me it worked. I didn't even see the original before entering into this, I guess, sequel. It is a sequel, it's just, just the same name, but I loved the storytelling, and it actually was able to keep me engaged, and it brought me along for the ride, and it kind of reached back in the past a little bit, but not enough to where it was just a lot of nostalgia or fan service. It provided the playing field for Yaya to go off, for Tiana Paris to just blow us away again. She is so excellent, and I just can't wait to see more from her. And yes, you guys, to me, the horror was present in simply the acting. Sometimes the way Yaya looked at the screen in his eyes, I'm like, this is terrifying to me, but it works because it doesn't need excessive visual effects work. There's a lot of practicality to this movie, and guys, I'm sorry, Coleman Domingo went from he's my boy to excuse me. Alrighty, you guys, so let's dive right into my top 5, beginning with number 5, The Green Knight, a late addition to my top 10. This movie is directed by David Lowery, and it's starring Dev Patel, Alicia Vikander, and Ralph Ineson. And when I mean late addition to my, oh man, I was right up against that deadline for voting for the Southeastern Film Critics Association. I keep shouting them out because I'm so proud of the fact that we were able to do that together and join that group. Anyway, this is about The Green Knight, and yes, The Green Knight for me is just an excellent film. I really liked A Ghost Story by David Lowery. My girlfriend and I really enjoyed that film. It was beautifully told, and I thought that it was something special and different. We were so used to these big bombastic films, but no, I thought that A Ghost Story was able to deliver, and The Green Knight, for me, delivered even more. This film is so excellent. Dev Patel is an amazing actor, yes, we know that, but here, he just really took my breath away sometimes, and Alicia Vikander is just so versatile, and her range is great, and it just really is shown in this film alone. And then you have the freaking sorry, I don't want to spoil anything too much because this is an excellent film, but that last chunk of the movie, it threw me for a loop. I mean, it is just so good at subverting expectation. It is good at suppressing everything up until the last moment, and it is a long, slow burn type of film. But I'm sorry, guys, I was taken on the journey, and I just never let go. It never let me go. I mean, this movie was so captivating, and yeah, The Green Knight is just one of the better films of 2021. Alrighty, you guys, so let's get into my number 4, Judas and the Black Messiah, directed by Shaka King, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, and Dominique Fishback. Before you get in my comments and tell me, well, this was a 2020 movie, Daniel Kaluuya won awards. Yes, I know, guys, but they screened it for critics in the new year, 2021 at that point, and I saw it at Sundance in 2021. So you know what? It's a 2021 movie, and that's when it got its wide release. So guys, Judas and the Black Messiah is a tough movie to watch. It's not an easy watch. I mean, really, you gotta have an iron stomach in some scenes, and it did make me mad, but not in a bad way. It made me mad because of the injustice that was being displayed and shown, and Shaka King, for me, directs the heck out of this movie. And I mean, yes, the performances are excellent, as you probably already know, but I thought this movie was so powerful, so poignant, and it really executed its message perfectly for me. I mean, Judas and the Black Messiah is a movie that I didn't stop thinking about literally for a month after I saw the film. It's all I could talk about, it's all I could think about, and there are so many powerful moments in this movie that kind of make you hold your breath, and you have to remember, oh, I gotta draw another breath here because I'm gonna literally pass out. The movie is just fantastic, and I loved everything about it, and honestly, it hit for me, and I know that it hits for other audiences in different ways, and I just think that Judas and the Black Messiah deserved, no matter what, on any list, to be towards the top of anyone's end of the year list. I mean, it is just amazing, and I'm so happy that I was able to see this movie, and yeah, it's a number 4 for a reason. Okay guys, now really, can I get a drum roll? Okay, thank you. We're getting into my top 3 with my number 3, No Time to Die, directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga, starring Daniel Craig, Léa Seydoux, Lashana Lynch, and Rami Malek. Listen, if you've seen my review for this film, you know I'm a huge Daniel Craig fan. I love his Bond movies, and he is my favorite James Bond, above Connery, above anyone that you can name. Daniel Craig, for me, is the most realistic Bond. He brings the most emotion, and for me, he's the most relatable. I loved No Time to Die. Honestly, came out of the theater almost moved to tears. It was just such a beautiful display of how to really wrap up one Bond's I guess installment chapter, I want to say, in this historic franchise. I mean, it's storied. It's got so many films before it. But for me, what they did with the character was so radical, so different, and a lot of people got mad, they got upset, but not this guy, not this fan. I was so happy with the way that they ended Daniel Craig's James Bond run. It felt complete. It was a perfect bookend to everything we started with Casino Royale up until now, and it just really executed all the way through for me. Is it long? Heck yeah. But is it amazing, and did I even feel the length? Absolutely not. The weakest part of the film probably is the writing for the villainous subplot with Rami Malek, but even then, that moment in the final act between Daniel Craig and Rami Malek was just... it was aces, man. This whole movie is just incredible. And Lashana Lynch, girl, if you want to go ahead and be the next Bond, I'm for it, because she was just so great. Even though I know that might not happen, she is just one of those rising stars, and she's excellent in everything I've seen her in so far. So yeah, man, No Time to Die, it just took my breath away, and it's well worth that number 3 spot. Alrighty guys, so now it's time to dive into my number 2 movie of 2021, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home, directed by John Watts, starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, and Alfred Molina, and so many more names, you guys. Some names that I'm almost going to try not to talk about because I want you guys to go in fresh if you haven't seen the movie yet, but this movie is crushing it at the box office. It made my Spider-Man heart sing, guys. This is, for me, the second best Spider-Man movie of all time. It's right below Spider-Man 2. For me, it's one of the best MCU films behind Avengers Endgame, and Avengers Endgame is number 1. So that's how much I love this film. No Way Home is just excellent. Yes, it has a lot of fan service, and I understand the complaints behind it, but fan service for me in this movie was woven in perfectly. This is a perfect movie. I didn't think that there was one thing about this film that I can go back and tell you like, oh, I didn't like that. No, this is going to live on as one of my favorite movies of all time. Spider-Man No Way Home had expectations, right? For me personally, I wanted this movie to achieve something that has never been done in this Tom Holland era, which is make a movie about Spider-Man, and they freaking did it, man. And not only did they shatter my own expectations, it gave me things in this movie that I didn't know it was going to deliver on, and that's excellent, guys. I was almost in tears like twice, even on the rewatch, man. I was so close to crying. There were tears in our audience, there were cheers. This movie accomplished something not only just on a financial level by grossing over $1 billion, I think it is now, but it did something on a cinema level, which is it delivered a home run film in a blockbuster setting. And not only that, but it gave fans everything they wanted and more. So yes, No Way Home is my number 2 for a reason, and I can't wait to watch this movie again and again and again. Okay guys, so now we're going to dive into my number 1 movie of 2021, The Kissing Booth Part 3. Oh, this isn't the worst movies of the year? Alright, this is the wrong thing. Let me get back to the right note. So my number 1 movie of 2021 is Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, and Oscar Isaac. Denis Villeneuve delivered, guys. Dune is my favorite movie of 2021 because of so many different reasons. I know I said it in my review, but man, this movie is well worth all the praise. It is directed like crazy. I mean, Denis Villeneuve, how the heck? You madman. And the cinematography by Greg Fraser just blew my mind. You couple that with the score by Hans Zimmer and some excellent acting. It's Timothée Chalamet's best performance. Rebecca Ferguson gives amazing solo moments, but it's that scene with her and Timothée Chalamet in the tent that just blew me away. And then you have Zendaya teasing us, and I'm like, girl, I can't wait till you get more shine in part 2, because she is just so freaking good with every bit of screen time she has. And even though Oscar Isaac wasn't one of my favorite performances in the movie, he still, for me, gives exactly what he needs to give. Jason Momoa was a scene stealer here, and goodness gracious, yeah, there were some very creepy moments involving the Baron, and I'm like, what's going on here? But honestly, guys, Dune is just the biggest, most epic film of the year. This is a sci-fi epic I'm never going to forget, to be honest with you. And the best way I think I can sum up my feelings about Dune is that I've not felt this sense of wonder and awe since I saw Star Wars. I'm serious, you guys. As a kid, when I saw Star Wars, I'm like, they did this? this is excellent. I want to be in this world. Of course, I went out and bought all the action figures, but now with Dune, I am just so captivated by the world that was built here. And yes, I know there's a novel that I haven't read, but seeing everything unfold for the first time in Dune Part 1, it just blew my mind. And this movie, for me, is one of those groundbreaking epics that is going to be remembered for a long time. And gosh, I just can't stop raving about Dune and those bagpipes. Those bagpipes. So there you have it, you guys. That's my top 10 movies of 2021. Now, in case you skipped all the way to the end, how about we go ahead and recap every single film that I ranked? Number 10, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Number 9, King Richard. Number 8, The Mitchells versus the Machines. Number 7, Eternals. Number 6, Candyman. That's 3 times, right? Lord help me. Number 5, The Green Knight. Number 4, Judas and the Black Messiah. Number 3, No Time to Die. Number 2, Spider-Man No Way Home. And my number 1 movie of the year is Dune. Oh man, guys, that just made me want to go back and rewatch every single one of these movies that I just mentioned. But again, that's my list. I need to know what your list is going to be, so go ahead and get loud down below. Let me know your top 10, your honorable mentions, and if you want to get crazy, go ahead and tell me some movies you saw that you didn't like either. Let's have a huge discussion about it. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel as we continue to journey to 10,000 subscribers in this new year. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in, for listening to me rave about these movies, and my gosh, there are going to be so many more movies we're going to talk about this year alone. Ooh, okay, I'm getting hot. I don't know if it's the light or just the mounting pressure for 2022. Alrighty, you guys, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.